Ramesh, I want to get your views on education in America and what we need to do to make it better.
Well, I think that in different ways, both K to 12 and higher education in America need more market discipline, need more choice and accountability and competition and parental power. And in the K to 12 area, I think that involves moving towards school choice and letting parents pick the school of their choice for their kids. At higher education, I think it means we need to reform all of the subsidies the government gives and reform the accreditation process so that different kinds of institutions can develop and so that parents have more information about the kinds of institutions they're sending their kids to.
So competition works in education the same way it works in the rest of the free market with every other service or good. And can we explain the reason why competition works better than for the government to run the schools?
Well, because we don't know the best way of setting things up to meet the needs of each individual child. And the way we determine that is by having a process of trial and error where you've got different groups competing to see who can do a better job, finding out what works, discarding the approaches that don't work. That is something that government is terrible at doing, and it's something that markets excel at.
So when education is privatized, you get the benefits of individuals exercising their own judgment, the parents,
yes,
and deciding which school is better for their children that they care for much more than the bureaucrats care
That's right.
for. And so you get the same phenomena that you get in the rest of the free market, which is by the exercise of all this free judgment without anybody forcing them to do one thing or the other, the best products, the best services get more demand.
Right.
More people want that because they recognize the value in the service, whereas in the government schools, because that's what we have, public schools
Right.
are government schools, people don't say that, but that's the truth.
Right.
Then the parents cannot exercise their judgment on which is a superior service, what's better education.
Look,
Isn't that the case?
Very often the government schools, so you accurately call them, seem as though they are operated more for the benefit of the people providing the service than of the students and their parents. And that's a mentality that we have to break through choice and competition.
Right, and they have all these rules about tenure, and if you fire a
Right.
teacher, it takes 5 years, and they pay them anyway.
And they have a seniority system where you're not rewarded
It's
for
not
being a better
merits,
teacher.
So merits don't count.
Right.
So both of my parents were teachers, and it was a hard for me to try to persuade them of this.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't a free choice in education good for the good teachers?
I think so. I suspect that in a more merit-driven competitive system, you would have some teachers who were paid more, and certainly a lot of teachers who were freed of some of the cumbersome bureaucracy and the paperwork and the compliance they have to do with all the regulations from different levels of government. And you'd also have some teachers who would be encouraged to find other employment.
So are we anywhere near getting a free choice in education and permitting the parents to make the decision about their children instead of having the bureaucrats make these decisions?
Well, school choice is expanding. We've got a lot of states this year that are considering expanding educational savings accounts or expanding scholarship tax credits. So it has been a long road, but we are moving forward on it.
So do you have any suggestions for the people out there, or what we can do to turn this ship around and start to get privatized education and get rid of public education and let the parents make the decisions?
Learn more, get involved, be an activist, call your congressman, ask him, we've got all this federal money going to the schools, why doesn't that money follow the student? Why does it have to go to the public school? If the student is going to a charter school or a private school or a parochial school, that money should follow him because it's for educating the kid wherever that takes place. That's one of the things we should do.
So permitting people to exercise their judgment freely, which is another way of saying freedom.
Right.
is the moral thing to do, right? And so that's why it is so practical. That's why we produce these great practical results in our free market, and we get the best goods and services, and we're missing out in the field of education.
The fundamental moral case for school choice is that nobody cares about your kids the way you do. No government bureaucrat, however well-intentioned, can match you on that dimension. And that's why you should be the one in charge of making the decision that's best for your kid.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the interview.
You're welcome.